Good morning, student. This is Miss Tina. I teach biology in Kendriya Vidyalaya Tinsukia. So, in this video, we'll be dealing with a topic that is transcription from chapter number 6, Molecular Basis of Inheritance, from class 12th NCERT Biology textbook. So, let's begin with today's topic. What is transcription? So, transcription is the process of copying the genetic information from one strand of the DNA into the RNA. In simple terms, transcription is the formation of RNA from the DNA, as we have studied in the central dogma, which was given by the Crick. Okay, then there are some points which is related to this process, that this process is governed. So the first point is this process is governed by the principle of complementarity. This is the first thing here, and here the adenosine pairs with the uracil instead of thymine. So what does this point actually mean is that, I hope you all remember what Chargaff rule is. So according to Chargaff rule, there are 4 nucleotide in a DNA, that is A, T, G, C. And according to Chargaff rule, it is A which always pair with the T, and T always pair with the A, vice versa, G always pair with the C. So the same rule is followed by the RNA also. So same rule is being followed in this transcription process also, but the only difference is there that in place of thymine there will be uracil in the RNA transcript. And one more thing, in this only a segment of DNA and only one of the strand is copied into the RNA. Means, suppose this is DNA. So only one strand of the DNA will be copied into the RNA. So only one जो है strand of the RNA will be formed here, or sometimes only a particular segment might get transcribed into the RNA. So these are the points that you have to remember about this process transcription. Now there is this question which is actually asked in your NCERT textbook, that why both the strands are not copied during the transcription. See, both the strands act if both the strands would act as a template, then it will result into the different two different kind of RNA molecule, and in turn it will also form two different kind of proteins, as it will be having the different amino acid sequences. So if the two kind of protein will be there, so the different kind of machine will be required for the formation of these proteins, plus there is a more amount of RNA will be formed, which is not actually required. It will increase the load on the cell, or it will also requiring the different machinery. So that is why both strands are not copied during the transcription. Then second point, plus if two RNA molecules will be produced, so it would be complementary to each other. As we know that the two strands of the DNA जो है, they are complementary to each other. In the same way, the two RNA molecule that will be produced from those two DNA strands, they will also be complementary to each other. So if they would be complementary to each other, then it will form a double stranded RNA. That is not actually required, because it will not go under the translation process, and it will not form the protein. So it will be a wasteful process then. That's why the both strands are not copied during the transcription. So let's now have a look at this topic. What is transcription unit? So transcription unit in a DNA is basically defined primarily by the three regions. Mainly the transcription unit consists of the three regions. So the first region is the promoter, the second is the structural gene, and the third is the terminator gene. So let's have a look at the diagram of this transcription unit. Here you can see that this transcription unit consists of the three regions. So the first region, as you can see, is the promoter. The second region is this structural gene, and the third region is the terminator. One more thing here you have to note is that it has two strands. As you know, DNA always has two strands, so in the same way this transcription unit is showing the two strands. So one of the strand is the template strand and the another strand is the coding strand. Here you can see the polarity of the coding strand is the 5 prime to the 3 prime end, and the polarity of the template strand is the 3 prime to the 5 prime end. So there are some convention for naming. So what are those conventions that we'll be seeing in the next slide. So convention in defining the two strands of the DNA. So why these two strands of DNA, that is the template strand and coding strand, have been given this name? So these two strands have opposite polarity, as we have already seen in the diagram, that so these have opposite polarity, as we have seen that the template strand have polarity from 3 prime to the 5 prime end, and the coding strand has polarity from the 5 prime to the 3 prime end. And as we are going to study for in the slides, which is further slides, that there is an enzyme which is involved in this transcription process, and the name of the enzyme is DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So the name of the enzyme is DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So there is a one peculiar characteristic of this enzyme, that it catalyzes the polymerization reaction only in the one direction. So catalyzes the polymerization only in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction. So the strand which will be having the polarity, which will be having the opposite polarity, will only be act as a template. So that's why referred as the template strand. So the strand which is having the polarity from 3 prime end to the 5 prime end are referred as the template strand. Then the other strand which has the polarity from 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and the sequence same as the RNA, as you have see. The coding strand, why this coding strand is known as the coding strand? This coding strand is known as the coding strand because this coding strand, as we know that the RNA that will be formed will be the RNA that is going to be formed will be complementary to the template strand, and we also know this thing, that the coding strand is also complementary to the template strand. So this coding strand and the RNA that is going to be formed will be identical, but only there will be one difference, that is instead of thymine there will be uracil. And we have already seen that in RNA there will be uracil in place of thymine. So coding strand and the RNA will be identical, somewhat identical, not completely identical, but they are somewhat identical, only there will be a difference of uracil in place of the thymine. So all the reference point while defining a transcription unit is made with the coding strands. Means whatever reference point that we are going to discuss or we are discussing, it is generally made with the coding strand. So in respect of coding strand, so in NCERT the sequence is given in your NCERT. So yeah, template strand is given, coding strand given, and it is asked that the what will be the sequence of the RNA transcript. As we already know that the coding strand and the RNA transcript that is going to be formed is almost identical. So here what you are going to do is that we will just replace this T, we will replace all these T's with the U. So it will result into the sequence of the RNA transcript. So this is how you are going to attempt any question which will be given or which will come into any of your exams. Okay, and then we'll be seeing, then we'll be studying about these regions in a little bit detail. That the promoter, first we have seen this region promoter. This promoter region is located at the 3 prime end. 3 prime end of the template strand, and the terminator region is located at the 5 prime end of the 5 prime end of the template strand. So promoter is located towards the 5 prime end of the structural gene. ठीक है, स्ट्रक्चरल जीन्स हम लोग देख चुके थे कि कहाँ है स्ट्रक्चरल जीन. सी this whole portion is the structural gene. ठीक है, and this promoter region is located upstream, means it is located before the structural gene at the 5 prime end of the coding strand. ठीक है, and this terminator region is located after, means downstream of the structural gene. So this is what is written here, that the promoter is located toward the 5 prime end upstream of the structural gene, and it is a DNA sequence that provide the binding site for the RNA polymerase. So promoter is basically the region where this enzyme, DNA dependent RNA polymerase enzyme, will go and bind and initiate this process of transcription. ठीक है, we'll be studying this in detail in the later slides. ठीक है, so this terminator region that we have seen in the diagram is located toward the 3 prime end downstream of the coding strand, and it defines the end of the process of transcription. So when this enzyme RNA polymerase reaches to this terminator region, then the transcription process ends. Then there are additional regulatory sequences as well, and that may be present further upstream or downstream to the promoter. So where are these regulatory sequences are actually located is, these regulatory sequences are located in this region. So as the name suggests, it regulates this gene expression. It is basically the sequences where actually these enzymes and different molecules होते हैं, they come and bind at these sequences. So this has the role in the regulation of these process actually. So ज़्यादा आपको नहीं पढ़ना इसके बारे में. Then transcription unit and the gene. See, we have seen that in between the promoter and terminator there is a gene. So what actually is gene? Gene is basically the functional unit of inheritance. Gene क्या है आप जानते हैं, that gene is the functional unit of inheritance. ठीक है, gene ही है which actually code for the protein, and protein helps in our various functions. ठीक है, then cistron. What is cistron? Cistron is a segment of DNA coding for the polypeptide. So a segment of DNA which codes for the polypeptide is known as the cistron. Cistron can be monocistronic or it can be polycistrionic. Now what is monocistrionic? As you all know, what is the meaning of mono is one. So the structural gene in a transcription unit which has only one gene, only have one cistron or one segment of the DNA which is coding for the polypeptide. So such kind of structural gene is known as the monocistrionic. And polycistrionic means they have more such segments of DNA which is coding for the polypeptide in one structural gene. So these polycistronic genes are generally seen in these bacteria or prokaryotes, you can see, and monocistronic genes are seen in the eukaryotes. As we are eukaryotes, so we will be having the monocistronic structural gene. Okay, so one more thing here you have to pay attention toward is that the genes in eukaryotes are split, means they show split arrangement. Now what is split arrangement is that this genes, these structural genes, they do not just have the coding sequences, they have some sequences in between which interrupt these coding sequences. So here we are going to see what are those sequences which code are known as and which do not code are known as. So the coding sequences or expressed sequences are defined as the exons. So exons are basically what? They are the coding sequences, means the ones who are actually code for a polypeptide or protein, and the exons are generally interrupted by the introns, and these introns are the known coding sequences. Suppose this is a segment of DNA. So Suppose this is exons. Suppose these are the exons. So in between these exons, these known coding sequences will be present, and these known coding sequences are known as the introns. They do not have any role in the formation of the proteins. So suppose if something do not have any role, so this has to be removed. So this will be saying in our later classes that this will be removed. So as you can see in this diagram, that in between exons there is presence of intron. So when there will be formation of RNA transcript, so intron will be present initially, but later on these introns are generally being spliced, means they are just removed on, and only it is only the exons which remains in this mature RNA transcript. That will be seeing, that will be studying in the later slides. And as we are studying about the RNA, so we should know how many types of RNA are there. So there are 3 types of RNA: the mRNA, tRNA, and the ribosomal RNA. So what is mRNA? mRNA is the messenger RNA, means it provide the template for the translation. Means it is the mRNA which forms, mRNA is basically the RNA which forms after the transcription or after the splicing and all. So then it result into the mRNA which actually code for a protein, means which actually go into the translation to form the protein. And then tRNA is the transfer RNA which brings the amino acid and reads the genetic code. RNA, ribosomal RNA, plays structural and catalytic role during the translation. So these tRNA and RNA, you will get these RNA in a better way when you will be studying the translation. So we will deal with this thing later on. So what is the process of transcription? So this is what we actually understand, that what this process of transcription is. This process of transcription has 3 steps. The first one is known as the initiation, the second is known as elongation, the third is known as termination. As the name suggests, that initiation means initiating something. So in what happens in this first step is this: RNA polymerase comes and they bind to, and it binds to the promoter and it initiates the transcription. Means RNA polymerase comes and bind to a region which is known as promoter, and here the initiation of transcription actually start. So and this RNA polymerase uses NTP, that is nucleotide triphosphate, as the substrate. Then the second step is the elongation. Elongation is the RNA polymerase. It is actually the enzyme RNA polymerase, means DNA dependent RNA polymerase, which catalyze this process of elongation. And then termination means फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल व्हाट इज इलोंगेशन, मीन्स आरएनए का जो है बड़ा होना इज बेसिकली इलोंगेशन है, ठीक है, उसके लेंथ को इंक्रीज होना. सो व्हाट इज टर्मिनेशन देन? एज द पॉलीमरेजेस रीचेस द टर्मिनेटर रीजन, द नेसेंट आरएनए एंड आरएनए पॉलीमरेज फॉल्स ऑफ. सो वंस दिस पॉलीमरेजेस रीचेस टू दिस टर्मिनेटर region, as we have seen in the transcription unit diagram, so this nascent RNA means the RNA which has just formed, it just falls off, and the RNA polymerase which was helping in the which was catalyzing this polymerization of this RNA, it also falls off. So and this result in the termination of the transcription. So here you can see that it has let's have a look at this diagram. Here you can see that there are 3 steps in the process of transcription. The first step is known as the initiation, second is elongation, and third is termination. But it is not just only RNA polymerase which helps in this process of transcription. There are some factors as well, as you can see in this pic. Here you can see sigma factor. Sigma factor is also known as initiation factor. This factor is also known as initiation factor. ठीक है. So what happens is this initiation factor or sigma factor comes and binds with this RNA polymerase, and it actually helps in this process of initiation. So this is actually the sigma factor which is responsible for the initiation, not only the RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase just do one thing, that is it just help in the elongation of the RNA. The main role which is performed during the initiation is by this sigma factor. In the same way, at the time of termination, there is another factor which is known as Rho factor, which comes and bind to this enzyme RNA polymerase and initiate this termination process. Helps in this termination process, and it result into this fall off of this nascent RNA and this RNA polymerase enzyme. The same thing is written here in this slide that we have seen in the diagram, that the RNA polymerase is only capable of catalyzing the process of elongation. So the role of RNA polymerase is just to catalyze this process of elongation. It does not initiate or terminate this process. It is actually the sigma factor which initiate this process, and it is a Rho factor which terminate this process. An association of these factor, basically what this factor is actually do, they alter the specificity of the RNA polymerase, and it start acting in that way. And what happens in case of prokaryotes actually is, as we all know this thing, that prokaryotes do not have a nucleus. There is no compartmentalization in case of prokaryotes. So the transcription and translation, it takes place simultaneously. Okay, it is actually coupled. The transcription process and the translation is coupled. As soon as transcription stops, the translation starts. So this is what happens in case of prokaryotes. But in case of eukaryotes, the case is not similar. As you know that this transcription process actually takes place in the nucleus in case of eukaryotes, and then later on these mRNA जो है transport to the cytosol, and where it performs the translation process. So in eukaryotes there are some complexities as well. So what are these complexities? That there are three types of RNA polymerases are there in the nucleus of the eukaryotic cells to catalyze the transcription. So the first RNA polymerase is responsible for the transcription of ribosomal RNA. The different subunits of the ribosomal RNA is basically catalyzed by this RNA polymerase 1, and this RNA polymerase 2 is responsible for the transcription of hnRNA. Now you must be wondering what is this hnRNA. hnRNA means अभी हमने जो पढ़ा, ये जो 3 स्टेप थे, इनिशिएशन, इलोंगेशन, ट्रांसक्रिप्शन, मीन्स उसके बाद जो RNA बनेगा that will be known as hnRNA. Now hnRNA stands for heterogeneous nuclear RNA. Now what is this heterogeneous term actually means? As we have seen that this mRNA that will be formed, this hnRNA that is going to be formed after the transcription, it will be having exons as well. It will be having exons as well as intron. Okay. So it is not homogeneous. It will not be having only the exons. It will be having exons plus intron. So it is heterogeneous in nature. That's why the name is given heterogeneous nuclear RNA. So with this hnRNA is actually a precursor of mRNA. Precursor means कि जो mRNA form होता है, it actually forms from this hnRNA after the process of splicing. Then there is a third RNA polymerase which is responsible for the transcription of tRNA, 5S ribosomal RNA, and snRNA, that is small nuclear RNA. So these are the 3 types of RNA which is present in the nucleus of the eukaryotic cells. Then the second complexity is this, that the primary transcript contain both the exons and introns. This thing we have already talked about, that the primary transcript means the mRNA that will be formed after the transcription process, okay, which will be is actually contain both exons and introns, and it is non-functional. So if if it will be containing both the exon and introns, it will not be functional in that case. So introns has to be removed from it, then only it will become the functional. So to make it functional or to remove introns from it, it has to undergo, or it has to be subjected to a process known as the splicing. Splicing means here the introns are removed and exons are joined in a defined manners. Means suppose it is like this, introns with introns forms a kind of loop, and later on with the help of some enzyme it is generally removed. So this is what happens in the case of splicing, and this hnRNA undergoes additional processing called as capping and telling. So in addition to splicing, it also undergoes some other processing, that is the capping and telling. So what are these things? So we are going to study this thing in this slide, that what is capping. Capping is an unusual nucleotide is added at the 5 prime end of hnRNA. Here you can see in this diagram this cap, at the 5 prime end there is a addition of this cap, which is made up of methyl guanosine triphosphate. It is added at the 5 prime end of the hnRNA. So this process of adding of this adding of this methyl guanosine triphosphate is called the capping, or this capping is basically done on the 5 prime end of the hnRNA. Now what is telling? What happens in telling is adenylate residues, यहाँ पे आपको देखिए poly-A tail it's written here. So this poly-A tail is nothing but it is generally a tail is kind of added into the added at the 3 prime end of this hnRNA, and this tail is made up of adenylate residues, and these adenylate residues are around 200 to 300 base pair, and they are added at the 3 prime end. So you have to remember that two things, that capping is added at the 5 prime end of the hnRNA and tailing is done at the 3 prime end of the hnRNA. So after this, after the splicing, capping and tailing, the fully processed hRNA is called as mRNA. mRNA means mature RNA. So here this M stands for the mature. So after this three process, that is the splicing, capping and tailing, the hRNA gets converted into the mRNA, and then this mRNA is transported out of the nucleus for the translation. Nucleus for the translation. So here you can also again see in this diagram that give me 1 minute. Capping is done here with the methyl guanosine triphosphate. Then splicing is being done here, means the introns is being removed. Here you can see that the a loop kind of formed here is of the introns, and then this loop is being removed by using some enzymes. It is not mentioned in the NCERT and it is not even required because you have to follow the NCERT. Okay, then the third process is the tailing, means adding the tail of adenylate residues, which is of around 200 to 300 base pair, and the final product that is formed after these three processes are known as the messenger RNA. So here your transcription process ending. I hope you all get it. Thank you so much. That's all for today.